like waiting for the eclipse. Did you watch? Oh, it's supposed to start soon.
Did you see it? We started.
It's dark. Oh. I'll call this regular meeting of the Knox, Wednesday, April 10th, regular meeting of the Knox County Commission to order. All the commissioners are here, as is the county administrator. It says here we have a presentation, and I will turn this over to the county administrator.
Yes, sir, thank you. We have 6 individual employees of the county to recognize. I don't see all of them in the room, but I'm still going to make reference to them. The first one is Zachary Green. Zach has been with the county for 5 years, and he manages our IT department, and he's not here. Is there anybody in the audience that would willing to accept on his behalf? We're going to guess not at this point. And I have to say, there's 6 people. I've met not all of them, I don't think, but this is testimony to the value of the employees to the county and vice versa. There's not a lot of companies where people stay for 20, 30 years. I'm a perfect example of that. Next.
Would you like to get down?
Yeah, we need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would like to shake hands with these people.
All right, as soon as somebody shows up, you're welcome to do that.
I'll come down in a minute.
The next one is Arthur Smith.
He is actually on vacation.
Arthur Smith is on vacation, but Arthur is being recognized for 10 years of service to the county.
Here? No.
He's not here. I told you, when somebody shows up, get that. Next on the list with 20 years of service, and this gentleman is in fact in the room, so if you want to make your way forward. Tim McFarland works for the EMA department, and for his 20 years of service, Tim, we'd like to first of all present you with a certificate of appreciation.
Thank you.
And a lapel pin recognizing 20 years of service. And this great big sweatshirt. Will fit you. It looks like something that you would wear routinely. Congratulations. Thank you very much for your service to the county. Next up with 25 years of service, Lynn Talbot is here. Lynn, I don't think we've officially met, have we?
I came in and introduced you.
We have.
to neighbors tonight.
Okay. Maybe you get to be my age. 25 years of service as a pin and a certificate of recognition and another great big fleece. It looks like something you'd wear at home. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Next up is with 25 years of service, Detective Justin Twitchell is present, so you may shake his hand. Congratulations, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
25-year lapel pin with a certificate and a fleece with the Knox County logo on it.
Great, thank you.
Congratulations, thank you very much. And finally, the apparent queen of the day for longevity with 35 years, and Cindy's not here, I don't see her.
No,
She's not coming? Okay. 35-year pin with a certificate and a rather impressive set of gift cards for her service to the county. So for those of you who know and love Cindy, give her our best and congratulate her for taking the top prize today. Congratulations to all of you. Go ahead.
Well, you're not older than I am.
Yeah. comment on that presentation at all? Was that? No, I certainly can. I think I make this point as often as I can, and I will reiterate it. What makes the county work are the people who work here. And if we're doing a good job, it's only because we have good employees, and the opposite is not true. If we're doing a bad job, it's our fault, and we're willing to accept that. The employees are the heart of an organization, and we have some of the best. And as you say, the fact that we have someone who stayed on so long means we're doing something right, or they're doing something right. And the only reason I say that is, like Gordon, I've had lots of different jobs, and that's only because I must be doing something wrong, so. This is also your last year on the commission.
Yes.
So hopefully we will do something like this for you when you leave, so.
It's Sharon's last year as well.
She hasn't been here as long as you have, though.
Pardon me?
She hasn't been here as long as you have.
No, Sharon, but that doesn't,
So put in your request now for what you want as part of the gift, so we can have the right thing. We're up to the public comment period. Is there anyone who would like to address the commission?
Mr. Chair?
Would you like to come right up to the
Sure.
table, so we can have you on the microphone?
Sure.
Well, congratulations to the employees. That's quite a feat to keep them as long as you have, and they're good people. So congratulations. My name is Chris Whitetop. I'm the fire chief of the city of Rockland. I just wanted to have kind of a quick comment about about last month's meeting and the city's letter that you all received last month about possibly helping out with the dispatch center. I wanted to kind of sit down today and kind of get a few things out on the table so everybody knows what everybody else is talking about. So the facts are out there so people can understand why we have made the attempt to try to help with the dispatch center. So the county approached the city somewhere around November, December of this past year. And in fact, in my count, looking through my calendar, 6 different meetings, whether they were formal or informal, to inquire if the city was willing to take over the dispatch center to manage it. And again, some of them were formal, some of them were informal, but the request was made to the city. The city didn't come looking to the county to take on another problem, right? We know it's a headache, we know it's been a problem, and we only offered up our services after being asked multiple times. And a few of the first couple of meetings, we had no interest in taking that headache on. So, and we finally decided that it was in the best interest of the county, of the emergency services, of the citizens of the county, that the city would step up and offer to fill that void. The last meeting we had with the interim county administrator and Commissioner Glazer, they asked for a letter. So, and I believe the intent of the letters was so it could officially be talked about in public, and decisions and guidance and direction could be made. And I didn't watch the meeting until 3 or 4 days after, but started receiving phone calls, and I think myself and a handful of others felt like the city kind of got thrown to the side, at the request of the county to provide that letter. I don't think it was fair. I don't think it was right, but that's the direction it went in. And again, we were asked to provide a letter. We were asked if we would be willing to step in. That's what brought the city to the table. We were willing to kind of take on that burden, and I don't necessarily know if we're willing to do that now, given the climate, but that's something that can be talked about later if it has to be. kind of going through my notes here. I want to make sure I hit everything, but you know, one of the discussions that was talked about last month was that, you know, the county has hit all the benchmarks, either on time or ahead of time that the PUC required in order to get the PSAT back in service. And outside of staffing, I'm not sure what else we've done to meet those benchmarks, but I would love to hear what those benchmarks are. Maybe not in this meeting, maybe, you know, in the executive meeting that we have scheduled for tomorrow, the executive board meeting. But I think those benchmarks should be clearly stated, because if they've been met on the user side of things, we certainly haven't seen any improvement in our service. And I'm also curious, again, what the other action items are that are going to keep us out from the same position we're in right now, or that we found ourselves in 7 months ago. We've heard about contracts and discussed, you know, that the county has contracts that are working to be upheld, and I think we all agree that that's what should happen. But keep in mind too, I think people forget that those contracts are for the towns, and their contracts are for a contracted service that the towns get to decide if it's being provided and how they want to move forward with it. You know, obviously, I think to go outside of the county would be a drastic move, but the county also dealt with a drastic contract issue a few weeks ago with some solar panels that aren't being installed in a timely manner. So I think drastic steps might need to be taken in order for this to correct itself. And to that end, the city has been in talks with Waldo County about having Waldo County do our 911 coverage for us. The city would hire our own dispatchers and migrate away from the county structure. I don't think that's in the best interest of the county. I think it just is going to throw another line in the divide, you know, between emergency services and everything else that we've got going on. But I think the city is preparing for that end result if we have to, and to and including other towns have also reached out to us as well to kind of come on board, and I'm worried that if our hand is forced and we have to take that step, that everybody else is going to fail because of that. It's a large call volume, it's a large amount of money, all that kind of ball of wax that goes with it, and I personally and professionally don't want to see that. We want this to succeed. We want the county's model to succeed. I think it can succeed, but we're worried that it's not, and I thought it would just be best that everybody understood at least where we're coming from and what we're preparing to do. Again, Waldo's on board with a plan. We've had meetings with them, and if we have to move that way, we will. And I think if we do move that way, others will follow. So that's, from the city's standpoint, that's all I wanted to say, but I wanted to get that out there, and again, I wanted everybody to have the same information at the same time. So.
Thank you. Any commissioners have questions for Chris? No?
Can I
Sure.
respond? I haven't been in the meetings, Chief Whitehoff. I know that Gordon and Ed have been, but I have been kept informed and aware of all the different conversations and all that's going on. And I think that you're right. I think there's been a lot of misunderstanding, misinformation, confusion, and we're all just trying to get to the same point, which is to provide the best 911 public service that we all can as a county. And I think that how we got to this point, I think that unfortunately, I know there's been a lot of conversations, but I think it was an unfortunate wording in the paper that Rockland was going to absorb the dispatch center, which kind of took things out into a public arena that may have been premature. It caused a lot of confusion and upset with the dispatchers who are working really hard to try and do the best that they can. And I think that all that information and comments and all that just led us to a point where I hope that we can move forward in a coordinated, collaborative way to provide the services that you and everybody else wants. I just want to ask, and I won't go on about it because this isn't the forum for it, but did you receive the letter that went out to all of every elected official in each of the municipalities and from our interim director, and was sent to Jesse and Bob, that details, it's almost 2 pages, it's quite comprehensive, and it details point by point where we are in the process with the dispatch center, what isn't coming down the road, and it clarifies the intent of this letter was to get everybody on the same page so that we can all move together with the same informed information. So I don't know if you have seen this letter or not.
I thought I saw what was sent out, but I did not see points of where we are, where we're going, all that. So I'm sure if I haven't, I'm sure it's sitting somewhere over, ready for me to view.
To clarify, the letter that Commissioner Paul was referring to, Chief, is it's a letter that went out to all of the elected officials of all of the municipalities, either directly to the boards of selectmen or through their town manager, in the city case, the city, through the city manager. And then earlier this week, I forwarded that same letter to the chair of the E-Board, Jesse Thompson, and Bob Coombs. It asked them specifically to please distribute it to all of the members of the users group. So you may or may not have seen that yet. That was
and I'm certainly, I'm sure I haven't seen the whole thing.
So that's why when you were speaking of some of these things, I wondered, because some of those points that have been clarified, we've laid it all out, and it sounds like tomorrow you have an executive board and users group meeting.
Yeah.
I don't know who. I don't know.
I'll be in attendance late. I have a medical appointment off-site. I hope to be able to get to the meeting before it ends, but my plan is on my way back from Augusta to tune in on the remote access.
So we can certainly answer questions, and if you haven't seen that, hopefully you've seen the letter by then.
Yeah, I know that. Again, I'm really not here to ask you guys any questions.
Yeah.
I wanted to speak publicly.
Well, I appreciate that. I know, and I can only, I think I speak for us. We really are anxious to work with all of our towns and municipalities, all the chiefs and everybody, to do everything that we can. Whether ultimately the services are kept in-house or Rockland or whomever decides to do something different, we just really want what is best to provide the services to all the citizens of the county. So however we can get to that point, I look forward to working with everybody, and I know on our end and behind the scenes, which isn't always readily apparent, we have people working very, very hard to try and bring everything back up to full service in-house, and then while we're continuing the discussions and conversations with others, towns and municipalities such as Rockland. So, thank you for coming today.
Thank you, I appreciate the time.
Thank you. No, thank you.
If it's appropriate, I know public comment isn't necessarily for back and forth, but I'm wondering, would it be appropriate for me to ask the chief a question?
Certainly. I was just going to, before we get to that, I just want to thank you for coming in too. And having worked with you now both as a member of the Rockland City Council and now as a commissioner, I appreciate the amount of work you've put into making Rockland firefighting what it is. It's really a stellar example of a well-run department. And so thank you for that too. And so for that knowledge that you bring to the communications is also much appreciated, so thank you.
Appreciate it.
Chief, thanks for coming today. I have great respect for Chris Wytock as an individual and as a fire chief, but with respect to your position as fire chief, Could you, for the record, say whether or not you're here today as an official representative of the city with, is your statement and presentation related to anything directed by the city council or the city manager, or are you here simply, not simply, but exclusively as the fire chief?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, I mean, the city manager knows I'm here. We've talked and had discussions on what was gonna be said. We've had meetings with the city council, executive sessions with the city council, and conversations, so I certainly am speaking as the city of Rockland's fire and EMS chief. I'm certainly speaking as a member of the user group. That's
And a member of the public?
What's that?
And a member of the general public?
Yeah, I mean,
As we all are, right?
Yeah, again, I mean, everybody understands the complexity of how we bring something from a failure to, you know, to a positive hour. But there's, you know, like the commissioner said, there's a lot of things to it, but I also feel like there's a lot of voices that are speaking and probably not being heard, and that's part of what I'm here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else who'd like to address the commission? If not, I'll close the public comment and I'll move on to the consent items. On the consent item agenda, we have approved consent items as presented, which include the agenda, minutes of the regular commission meeting, departmental reports, warrants, and reserve withdrawals.
Will we approve the consent items?
Second?
Before we do that, can we take the agenda off of the consent items? Because I think we have a few, at least one item we'd like to add to the agenda. Maybe we can remove that from off the consent items, if that's all right.
Sure. I'll make that motion.
Okay. It's been moved to remove the agenda from the consent items. It's been seconded. All those in favor? Okay. And we'll go back to the consent items we have. Is there a motion to accept the consent items?
Yes, do any departments want to give us any updates or on their reports? I know we have Jeff here running the airport. I don't know, I have the last report. I don't know if you want to, give us anything impromptu, Jeff, or if, I don't want to put you on the spot.
Yeah, it's not a problem. I think the report
Excuse me.
speaks.
Oh.
Jeff, would you please come to the table so you can pick up on the mic?
And for those who don't know, Jeff Northgraves is stepping in as our interim airport director. Thank you so much, Jeff.
No problem. Yeah, I think the report stands on its own, except for the one area where I discuss appointment and reappointment of the APAC members, and that's on the agenda to discuss later on. But if you've got any questions in there, I'm more than willing to stumble through the answers.
Well, if I may ask
Sure.
one question, which you may not be able to answer at this point, but Chief Whitetalk did mention something about our solar energy plan, and that's on hold while we reassess our options. Is that correct?
No, it's not on hold. It is in the hands of the bonding agent.
Okay.
And they have hired a company to complete the project. And right now they are getting bids from companies to do either the whole project or pieces of the project. And in the meantime, we're resolving with the bonding agent and with that company what equipment, what materials are already on hand, what's been paid for, and then they are making estimates on how much they're going to charge the bonding company. Pretty much out of our hands right now. At some point, I foresee the bonding company coming back to us and having us maybe enter into another contract with whoever it is they have decided. But it's more an oversight to allow us to have on-site oversight of their operation, like we did last time. So I think it's moving in the right direction. And it looks like having a bond on this one, because I think in the past, we haven't always carried a bond. And having the bond has really saved us a lot.
That's right.
It's important.
Thank you for your leadership on that.
Yeah, I read that too, and I thought that was sort of interesting. We had a contract that because they no longer fulfilled the basic requirements of the contract, we turned back to the bonding company. And because we did that, we no longer get to pick who is the contractor. They're now picking the contractor to make sure it gets done to protect their investment in this. Because if they don't get that delivered for the price that we're willing to pay, they're out that money.
Exactly right.
So they want to make sure this happens, get the best contractor, get it done to our satisfaction, and meet the original contract, but we don't have a say in who that person is.
Correct. But it's still, they still have to follow the same FAA, AIP
Right.
requirements that are built into the original contract. I think that's part of the reason they may want us to do the final, redo a contract with them to make sure that all the AIP and FAA requirements are included.
But so they're almost acting as an overseer of the contract on their own terms at this point.
Correct. Because right now it's finding who they can get to do it at the cheapest, because they know anything that, any extra money that those contractors require is on them, it's not on us.
Which is very interesting. Any other questions?
Just a couple
Jeff,
comments. Go ahead, Gordon. No, go
No, I
ahead.
just want to expand on something that, you know, it's really easy to criticize a past decision that turned out poorly. The decision to grant this job to the company in question clearly was a mistake, and we learned after the fact that this particular organization had been in trouble before in a number of different other areas with other organizations that it worked with, and we're reading about that now. My suggestion in the future is that when it comes time to bid, it should be more than just what the price was. There should be some due diligence that's performed in addition to the proposal that's received. You know, I and another individual in the county have this ongoing argument about how deeply should we dig into somebody's background. In this case, I think it would have been worthwhile to find out what their history is with other companies that they work, or other airports in that matter.
Yeah, to that point, I don't think Ed was here yet, or I know Rick was, when we had, or were you here when we had all those discussions about, we did put it out to bid, Jeff might remember, and Gordon, you might remember, but you're absolutely right, you know, in terms of delving further into the history, background, and all of that of potential vendors that we're going to be working with. As I recall, and I might have some of it wrong, but in my memory, they weren't, Pine Tree was not our initial first choice. The reason that, and it wasn't, we weren't doing it just based on the highest or lowest bid. We wanted to go with a different vendor, but that vendor couldn't provide, if I'm not mistaken, couldn't provide the, what is it, type?
Buy American.
Buy American.
Well, there are two issues.
Yeah.
The type of solar panels that the FAA requires.
Yes.
And the Buy American. So
And
those
yeah.
two clauses combined knocked the other preferred vendor out.
No, yeah, exactly, well said, yes, so just for the historical background on that, and then unfortunately, so then we went with Pine Tree, and then subsequently, things didn't go well, and so here we are.
And to add to it, it was not a cost, it wasn't based on cost or lowest bid. It was a qualification bid.
That's right.
That was scored by the Airport Public Advisory Committee. They scored a set of them 3 times. So this was the 3rd time that they had scored submittals. The first time, the main one couldn't meet the requirements, rebid it. They selected somebody on that one, and it may have been Pine Tree. But the FAA said you only had 2 bidders, we need a 3rd. So the 3rd time we had 3 bidders. I can tell you that my learn from this was to try to find references other than what the contractor provides you. Because I can tell you that the APAC and Jeremy did contact the references that were provided for all three of those companies.
So you were, the APAC, for folks who don't know, is our Airport Advisory Committee, and it's comprised of what, 10? 10 people. So there were a lot of different eyes on this, and for, you know, as Jeff pointed out, it's very hard to get to some of the references. I guess that, you know, it's just hard to find out that information, so.
And I think my takeaway from this is always have a performance bond of some sort.
I agree with that.
That's the real takeaway, because no matter how much due diligence you do, there are going to be people who just don't deliver on the contract. And we want to make sure we're covered. So the good decision in this may not have been the company we hired, but the way we went about it was correct. So thank you.
Can I add one
Of
other
course.
comment? I was reading in the paper that Rockland just installed a bunch of EV chargers, which is great. And I see that our project is out to bid right now for, for those who don't know, we received a Northern Borders grant in the amount of about $234,000 to install not only EV chargers at the airport, but aircraft chargers, electric aircraft. You know, we're kind of on the leading edge of that electric aircraft trend, and we're working with, you know, and Jeff could probably expand on it, but there was a big article in the Free Press about it, but it's really exciting. We have vendors out there that we're working with, and Cape Air's looking at some EV planes, and Aaliyah, I think it is, and we're looking at, UPS has adopted a lot of EV types planes for product delivery, you know, for package delivery, and we're looking at how can that work for us for the you know, island deliveries and all that. So the whole thing with the EV charging stuff is really exciting, and I know we'll get there, but I don't know if you have any updates on that.
We did open the bids, and again, for this contract, it's based on qualifications, and then you look at the bid, the numbers, so the APAC is going to score those inputs on the 15th of this month, and so we'll be getting back to you with the recommendation. And hopefully we'll check more than the references they provide.
I think you guys are on top of it. I appreciate all the work of the APAC too, and your work.
Fantastic.
Yeah. That's all I have.
Rick, any questions while we have him here? Any questions for the airport
No,
manager?
I'm
while we
all
have him here?
set. I'm completely satisfied.
Thank you.
And welcome back.
I'll be back.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll see you in a bit. Still on,
Anything else on
yeah.
What?
What?
Keep going.
Okay, I just am going to give a shout out to our EMA director who couldn't be here today because she had, and I'll just read some of it because it can impact a lot of our waterfront businesses and other businesses who've been impacted by all the storms that we've had. And so if some of you may have seen around, FEMA's been around quite a bit in unmarked cars, which just kind of sticking things in people's business boxes and all this stuff, which caused some concern by some people. But anyway, they're trying to get the message out that they're here, they want to work with us. They've been coordinating with our EMA department and director, Candace Richards and Tim McFarland over there at EMA, to help the businesses as much as we can. She's meeting with the Small Business Administration this afternoon to set up a physical location for them to meet with local businesses on damages they received during the January storms. And somehow FEMA and the SBA will be working together. to get the information out, and our EMA director, Richards, will be getting an email out to the towns today, letting them know about a town hall style meeting that will be forthcoming for FEMA, for reps from FEMA, both individual assistants and public assistants, subject matter experts in the SBA next week. The meeting is for town officials to get that information and convey that out, but I just wanted to update people on that. That's what I have. And I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Anything else on the consent agenda? No. Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? 3 in favor, none opposed. We move on to the action items. We'll start with the first one, which is an act to approve and authorize adopting the 2024 TRAN resolution, and I believe that we have a substitute action item, which is making a motion to adopt the 2024 TAN resolutions and attached vote of County Commissioners authorizing TAN anticipation borrowing, and to award the 2024 TAN bid to Machias Savings Bank at an interest rate of 4.99%. So moved.
Seconded?
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Nope. Does Kathy have anything to add?
No, you actually approved it at the last meeting, but we didn't have the correct language, so that's why it's coming forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Kathy.
So this will override the previous one.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of things that you'll need to attach your signature to
Okay.
Oh,
at the end of the
fantastic.
meeting.
Thank you.
All those in favor? 3 in favor, none opposed. Next is an act to approve the updated job description for the administrative assistant to the airport manager.
Move.
So moved.
Moved and
Seconded.
seconded. Any discussion? Oh, airport manager would like to, please, come right
I would
up.
like to introduce Elizabeth Carver, who is the administrative assistant. She is now, she's got me beat in time in office by a week.
Welcome. Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah. And this is a slight change in the job description, probably to come closer to what you really do as opposed to what we thought you did. Yeah. Anything you'd like to add about it?
Look, we're glad that Elizabeth is here.
Yes, we all are.
Not just here, but there
Yes.
as well.
I'm sure Jeff more than anybody is.
Yes.
There's no further discussion. All those in favor? 3 in favor, none opposed. The third item we have is an act to approve an updated per diem policy.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Or anyone who would like to make a presentation about it?
Do you want to, Amber? Would you like to go ahead and just give an overview?
Sure, I'll take a stab at it. So our per diem policy was back, I think, implemented in 2011, just to kind of get people in to help with some of our departments. Last year, if you remember, in August, we updated it a little bit. But since then, we've found the great need to have those per diem employees for our 24/7 departments. So we can allow people to go on vacation and any turnover and things like that. So to kind of summarize the changes, instead of a per diem coming at that entry-level wage and staying there, we're going to match their years of experience. So if you're a patrol deputy and want to support in our patrol department and you have 10 years of experience, we want to recognize that, retain that person, and have them help. We've also included a couple of requirements, like in a corrections position, you need to be certified with another agency, so we're not chasing down those certifications, so we remain compliant with everything. So those are the changes you'll see in there. And it's really to help support those 24/7 departments and positions, so they have what they need at all times.
Any other questions?
No, very happy to see that. I know that's been floating around out there, and especially, you know, everybody's worked so hard to increase our staffs, and we want to do everything we can to keep those people and pay them appropriately. So thank you for your work on that.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have Amber back with us.
Yeah.
As you might remember, she took a little bit of a break between last year and this year, but she's been instrumental in doing the deep dive on a number of these policies and trying to figure them out a little bit, make them a little clearer.
Yeah,
So thank you for that.
very happy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's no further discussion, all those in favor? 3 in favor, none opposed. The last item that we have on the agenda is an act to call for nominations to reappoint 4 seats to the Airport Public Advisory Committee and approve the nomination, appointment timetables, and press release.
It's a good thing we're not paying you for how many times you have to get up and down.
Do I hear a
Motion.
do I hear a motion?
So moved.
I move the motion.
Seconded.
Second. Moved and seconded. Oh, Jeff, can you
Normally,
explain why we're here? Why this wasn't done earlier?
this should have been done. The APAC approved the press release and the timeline in January. So I sent in the names of the individuals to appoint today, which is normal. Usually your April meeting is when you appoint the new members. And I was surprised to find that you hadn't taken this step yet. Don't know why, but it didn't happen. So now we're recovering. And so normally May is when we seat the new members and have our first formal meeting as the APAC. And it's usually the day before your May meeting. But since you're going to appoint them the second Tuesday of May, we won't meet on the first Monday of May, or the second Monday of May. We'll move that meeting to sometime later in the week, probably Wednesday. So it ends up putting us behind a little bit, a month behind. Even though you did not take the formal step of approving the press release and the timetable, what normally happens is the airport manager goes out to those folks who would make nominations, says, hey, it's time to renominate. Are you interested? Talks to the people that are currently in it. And so we have a full slate right now, but we can still get more competition. So we're willing to open that up. So 2 of the seats are reappointments because one of them just served 1 year and the other one served 1 term, and they're allowed to serve 3 at your discretion. But one is actually vacant, the environmental seat is vacant, and we just got a name to fill in on that one. And the other seat, the individual from the islands that filled it, Dick Witherspoon, for years, he's done it for 9 years, so he's at the end of his 3-year term. He's termed out, so we need to replace that individual. And we do have somebody who's interested in doing that.
Yeah, I think, thank you for that. I think we have a resume from one of the environmental candidate. Very, very impressive.
Yeah, I was impressed.
Yeah, yeah. And then we have a recommendation from the Camden town manager for the District 3 individual board.
Correct.
Okay, so I defer to your recommendations.
I would ask the question, is there any obligation of the county to, knowing that we have these names in hand, and is there an obligation of the county to go out more publicly after the fact versus what we should have done a month ago?
Well, I guess that was my question, is the town of Camden has suggested somebody for that district.
Correct.
But that district has a lot more towns than just Camden.
Correct.
Have we notified all of the other towns that we have a seat that's open on APAC?
I'm going to make the assumption that we have, because at least Camden knew about it, and I know South Thomaston was informed of it. And the other way, it's not just the airport manager that goes out. Each of the 10 members have a constituents that they're supposed to go out and contact. So my assumption is that that part of it happened because we saw input from at least 2 of the towns. And so I think, again, I'll defer that to you. It's not going to put us that far behind. Personally, I think that every year that we do this, we have to actually beg to get people to come forward and to be able to walk in with a full slate. I think is a benefit, and personal opinion, I'd like to get it done now while they're still out there and they don't have time to back out. But if we want to give it wider attention,
Say what?
I just nominate.
You just soon nominate them?
Let's put it out of its misery.
Yeah.
I said, let's put it out of its misery.
I agree.
Yeah, okay, I just wanted to make sure
Well
that we felt
said.
that every town had had their opportunity, that nobody was gonna say that, you know, there's a strong arm coming in and getting their person on the board. Right. Yeah. So it's fine with me?
Okay, I make a nomination to appoint, to appoint and reappoint 4 seats on the Airport Public Advisory Committee. Those members to serve 3-year terms, 2024 through 2027. They are Kate Odolkowski for District 1, reappointment. Jeff Northgraves, Business, reappointment. Bill Bow, Environmental, new appointee. Pete Smith, District 3, new appointee.
So move.
Second?
And seconded.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
And then we have another item
Get comfortable.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
that we would like to add to the agenda, and I will, by unanimous consent, accept another item, which is the matter related to the lease agreement for Penobscot Island Air. Without any objection. Then, do we have wording for what we would like to approve? No, not the wording for the, getting it on the agenda, but the particular,
No, I think what's important is if we could maybe paraphrase some of the things that we've been talking about with PIA and with our attorney. Jeff and I have been involved with that conversation.
Yep.
Have you already agreed to put it on the agenda?
Yes, it's on the agenda now.
So the matter relates to Penobscot Island Air's potential or pending approval of the lease agreement for the use of the hangar. We have been advised that there had been some delay, identified as a delay at the county level for the purpose of making sure that Penobscot Island Air was able to acquire a proper level of insurance as per the county's policy. Penobscot Island Air came back and said that they could not acquire that level of insurance through any particular insurance carrier or broker. Our county attorney, Marchese, has been working together with representative of PIA, back and forth, and it took a phone call from the owner of PIA to me saying, we need to get this done, or there's a possibility that they're going to relocate their operation. And after talking to Jeff, neither of us thought it would be a good idea to see PIA go away. Reached out to Marchese, and he said, now that you've prompted me, he said, you're right, we need to get moving on this. And he had a bunch of different things. But they would like to move into this particular piece of property at the airport. So Peter has been back and forth with the owner and with his representatives, and he has come up with a solution, what he believes to be a solution. Jeff and I have reviewed it, and we're both in agreement that we should move forward with approving this lease agreement. And if that happens today, Peter can pretty much put it all together within the next couple of days and get this thing done. I would defer to Jeff and his expertise on that particular matter, but if there are any questions, we can both try to answer them for you. So you have before you an email from Peter Marchese to me with a copy to Jeff and the other attorney kind of outlines what Peter has learned in his research, and he is of the opinion that, well, I'm not going to, I'll let you read it. I think it's important you actually read it,
Right.
rather than me try to paraphrase it.
I did read it, thank you for your work on this. I know it's been going back and forth for a while. Is, just a quick question, is the coverage that PIA is able to get, is that any less or more than it was previously? I mean, we,
It's the same
it's the
that they
same.
previously had.
it's the same that they previously had. And
Different
we-
ownership.
Pardon?
Different
Yeah, different
ownership.
ownership. But the coverage that they're getting is the same under the previous ownership. So we accepted that. We worked under that agreement, right? And so this is essentially the same coverage, insurance coverage that we were working under and approved previously, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's what we're looking at, just, and your recommendations are to, we don't want, I agree with you, we do not want them to relocate someplace else, and that hangar is ready, and it's ready to be moved in, and let them do their services, expand the services, provide the services that are essential to our islands and everybody else, so. Okay, so that's my, I guess, okay, that answers my questions and thoughts, and
So if I could, I'll add a little bit to
Yeah.
it. And it's actually two different agreements. One is for the hangar lease, that they're the new terminal hangar that they plan to operate out of. But the other is for their overall air operations.
right,
And that was really the one that had the issue.
yeah.
And I do agree with Peter Marchese's review of it, because $1 million doesn't get you what $1 million used to. But having said that, for their operation, it's literally impossible for them to get anything more than that. The other side is, though, and so we are taking on a little bit of risk that we have been carrying for
That
years,
is- yeah.
same risk we've been carrying. The other side of it is that both of these contracts, both of these leases, have had other things in it added and changed that has mitigated that risk that we traditionally carry. Peter Marchese is a big risk management type of individual, so he has built in some risk management practices and tricks in the leases, as well as both the hangar one and their operational one. And there are other insurances that are in there now that weren't in there before, automobile, those kind of things. So I'm happy that Peter went through this, that they went through it with us, but I think we've come out with the right product.
In the minimum standards that the county has for these types of things, there is a clause in there that the county could, at its discretion, waive certain of these requirements, whether it has to do with insurance or anything else. We haven't done the deep dive into all of the different tenants at the airport, but it's pretty much the consensus is that none of this has been applied with any consistency from one vendor to the next tenant. It's pretty much through the years, they've all pretty much cut their own deal to favor both parties. Again, we want the tenancy to be there. We certainly don't want to be sitting on a white elephant, empty building, not knowing what might happen after all that we've been through with it.
Right. Thank you.
So my recommendation would be to authorize the interim county administrator to execute and sign the lease for the hangar and the agreement once it's been satisfactorily reviewed by Peter Marquez.
Okay.
How long a lease term is this for?
Oh, I don't remember. I think it's 20 plus 20 plus 20, I think is what it is. That's kind of the typical that they've been doing lately, which the FAA considers that a long-term lease, which is what
I
we
consider it a
want.
long-term lease too.
Oh, we've got some that are longer than that. So they have a couple of requirements. The FAA has a couple of requirements that are embedded in the leases. One is they have to have a CPI tied to them so that every year the rate changes by the CPI. And it also has to have a reclamation clause so that at the end of the lease, the property becomes, well, in this case, they're just leasing the property, so they don't, but for those hangars that we don't own, we do own them at the end of the lease.
I'm just sort of, you know, okay, we're instead of 2 million, we're gonna stick with the million. We know that, as you say, the million doesn't go as far as it used to. And certainly not in cases where a county's being sued or somebody's being sued, that number has skyrocketed. So $1 million doesn't cover almost anything. If in the next 5 years, $2 million or $3 million becomes the norm, we're gonna still be stuck with that $1 million.
No. The way, and I haven't actually seen the language in this lease, but normally our leases have words to the effect of they must comply with our rates and minimum standards, which may be changed periodically, and if they go up, they're obligated to meet those requirements. So there is a way to increase it at some time in the future. So if it becomes available, and we determine, and the FAA determines that, or actually the state has oversight on what level you have for insurance, determines that you know, any air operations has to be 5 million, 2 million, whatever it is, then we can, by incorporating the rates and minimum standards in the lease agreement, make that happen.
Will you still be here to remember that?
Well, Gordon,
As Peter points out in his narrative in this email, there is no aggregate on this policy, so in essence, they could take multiple hits without it getting to a point of no return.
I read that, yeah.
Okay, so the question then is, what should the wording of the motion be?
To authorize if I'm the appropriate party, to authorize the county administrator to enter into the agreement and sign on behalf of the county. I don't know if that's the complete proper text, but basically authorizing
Do you
him to
have
do
that?
the job.
agreements.
Wendy, do you have that?
Minutes, yeah.
Just add, you know, after, just a bit, just add the, and to have the county administrator sign the lease.
Okay, then we'll add that. Yes. I guess. So it then becomes an act to allow the county administrator to enter into a lease agreement with Penobscot Island Air.
And the hangar.
And the operations agreement. And an operation.
And an operation. Will you make that motion?
Yeah, I won't,
Okay.
agree to it.
So it's been moved,
Seconded?
seconded. Any further discussion? Thank you for your work on this. Thank you for your work on this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy, for your work on this, and thank the city, the county attorney for his work on this. All those in favor? 3 in favor, none opposed. Also on the agenda, what do we have? Discussion items. We still have the discussion of the county property identified for potential sale, and this goes back to that piece of property on the airport property. We were gonna try to get somebody to look at that and give us an assessment value. Do you know if we've moved ahead on that at all?
I do not know.
I haven't done anything, and I think, as I recall, Jeremy was here representing the airport
Yeah.
on that particular meeting. I don't think he probably pursued it at any level.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard anything from the interested party.
Okay.
I have a question
Sure.
our suggestion, and that would be that the new member of your APAC, being an environmental expert, should give us his opinion as to whether to offer it up for sale, or you better hang on to it.
I will approach him with that question.
Thank you.
Yeah, good idea.
It is a very good idea.
Yeah.
But if we're gonna move it ahead, we also have to have a valuation on that piece of property.
Yes.
And maybe I'll sit down with you and we can discuss a way to get an assessment on it.
Okay.
Anything else on properties we have for sale? Is that the only one?
I'm not aware of.
The other is staffing discussion. Who's here to discuss the staffing discussion?
Is that what you, okay, I didn't, please, go ahead. And there are other staffing issues not related to the sheriff's office that
Great.
I'm happy to talk about.
Okay, that'd be great.
Well, it's not a staffing issue, it's issues that have been resolved.
Good.
Well, for
Even
now.
better.
They can change, but
Identify yourself for the record, would you?
I'm Chief Deputy Edric from the Sheriff's Office. So I just wanted to give you a brief update. The patrol division is fully staffed. The second Vinyl Haven position has been filled. As a matter of fact, the deputies started yesterday. So that's the first time we've ever had 2 Vinyl Haven deputies. So the corrections, we're looking for 1 position. So we've hired approximately 14 full-time positions since January, that about. So we're very close to being fully staffed there. We have 2 interviews today. We have approximately 6 applications that are still coming in. So we're hopeful we'll be fully staffed maybe this week in the corrections division, which we haven't been fully staffed there in probably 8 or 10 years. So we continue to receive applications for patrol and corrections. So what we're probably going to have to do is have a register to keep the applications on file when positions do come open. There's one issue I could probably wait for another meeting, but we discussed it at the department meeting, is the yellow flag law, mental health laws that are being considered right now in the legislature and the committee that the governor established. But I don't know if you want to go into that, but that is an issue that has gone to the front burner almost to every law enforcement agency in Maine. That they're dealing with the yellow flag process. It's in flex, it's changing. It will change. The legislature will make changes to it. So that is really at the front of our radar, if you will. So
Would that require another officer to administer that? Is that what you're saying? Or?
it could. We're averaging around 4 to 6 hours to do a yellow flag process. That the last one we did tied 2 deputies up for 6 hours, which took those 2 deputies off from patrolling. It requires doing a online interview with the person, with a mental health clinician. And once you complete that, then you have to take that result to a judge or justice of the peace. And you have to find the judge first somewhere in the state of Maine to review it. So the whole process can take hours. So in our staff, I've said it before, even when we're fully staffed, I believe we're understaffed. But, so.
Now, I know the answer to this is if the state requires something like that, they're not going to fund it at all, are they?
No.
Oh.
Like
No.
education, corrections,
Yeah.
everything else that they,
Yeah, they typically like to push it down to our budgets.
But I think it's timely as far as the vinyl haven positions, because we're coming into the busy months. It'll make a world of difference for the islands, just to have that other person, the second person on the island. If the officer or the deputy needs backup, there'll be someone else there to help him, him or her. Also, it gives more coverage, and so all that is good as far as having the second person.
Question. Is that new position, the second deputy out on Vinyl Haven, does he reside on Vinyl Haven as well?
He would. We have secured temporary housing. As everybody knows, housing on the mainland is very difficult, but the island is another complex matter, trying to find housing. But we have secured temporary housing, and that second position will be 100% paid for by the town of Vinyl Haven.
So they'll provide the housing.
Yes.
That's great news. I know it's been a long time coming, and I'm sure they're very happy to have another person out there. Thank you for all that. And thank you for bringing up the yellow flag just process and what that potentially will mean in terms of staff increases or, costs and all of that. And that's something perhaps we can bring up at another, have a deeper discussion about. But I know you and I had a brief discussion
Yes.
about that at the sheriff's MSA meeting. So I'm glad you brought that up. And just a couple of other things tying into what you're talking about. With all the new additions to corrections and all those, I was in the risk pool and the MCCA meeting today, and there is going to be a move to have the risk pool do some presentations to corrections personnel. I think we did it a few years ago. Peter Marchese did some, just to make sure everybody's on the same page in terms of protocol, procedures, and all of that, so that everybody's doing the best job that they can.
Right.
So that I think is coming. I just heard about it today.
Okay.
And I have more information on that. You'll probably hear too. And then the other thing that came up regarding the jail and corrections is, at the moment, the corrections centers in the state are online to receive about $4 million of additional funding that will be distributed in some manner. But most of it's going to be earmarked for MAT training and services, medically assisted training services, right? So it's moved forward. However, it's at risk. If the governor vetoes the budget, then that will go away as well. So we're just watching that. And let's see, there was one other thing. Just down the road, I'll talk with you and Gordon as well. We talked about making a visit to the corrections and just saying hi to everybody.
Be a good idea. Yeah, just let us know, Gordon, and give us a call, or gladly take you through.
Yeah, I'm thinking either next Monday or Thursday, but I haven't talked to Gordon about his availability, but yeah. So, and I think that was, thank you for
Yep.
everything. I think that's.
Chief, what time does shift change at the jail?
5:45.
We'll figure it out.
Okay, thanks.
Rick?
Would any of the deputies that are out on Vinyl Haven and North Haven, would any of them be available to cover, to help? I don't mean any, I'm talking about an emergency on Isle Road.
Yes.
Yes?
As with anything, the transportation, getting someone to the islands in an emergency, a bona fide emergency, we work closely with the Coast Guard and the Marine Patrol, and we have done research with private companies to get us out to the islands. And so the Coast Guard has been very helpful getting us to the islands in a bona fide emergency. So to answer your question, yes, the deputies on the islands also the response, generally speaking, would come from the mainland, from a mainland
Right.
transportation to get us to some of those islands.
If and when we get the boat that we had on order for a couple of years, would that be stationed on the island with one of the deputies out there?
We are still in discussions about that, but I think we would be looking at keeping it in Rockland
Keep it
on
in
this
Rockland.
side of the bay.
Okay.
We're in hopes it should be arriving. It should have arrived, I believe, 2 days ago. But,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Well, do we have an operator on the mainland?
We have several that are licensed and varying license levels,
Okay.
but also we plan on sending 2 deputies to a school to receive the proper training for that.
I see.
So,
I understood there was one on North Haven that already had those credentials.
he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
So long-term staffing, just, and this gets back to your question about yellow flag laws, is looking at finding a way to get somebody like that on staff, and whether that means amalgamating them with another job that you need done. You know, so it's somebody who's got a few different specialties, and it isn't falling on a patrol officer. Is something to keep looking at in the future. Yeah.
I mean, as everybody knows, the mental health can be very, very complex and requires working with mental health clinicians, different provider agencies, and it just is very time consuming to the point where it could take a whole shift. And we're relying on the judicial branch and other branches of government to function with us. And sometimes those functions don't fully function the way they should. I mean, the legislative, judicial branches are still working their way through this yellow flag process. It's still in flux. It's really ever-changing until the legislature takes some action.
Yeah, to the point of the mental health services, there are increasing mental health service demands placed on each year on all of the staff in corrections, dispatch, and our deputies, to the point that sometimes the deputies have to spend, you know, they take somebody into Penn Bay and there are serious issues. They have to stay with them, and that takes them effectively out of the loop. And perhaps, you know, we've talked in the past, and again, this is a discussion that I think just deserves to have, you know, its own meeting, and also as we move into the budget cycle and looking forward, there's been talk in the past of having a dedicated mental health professional. I think Rockland and Camden, or Camden and Rockport, anyway. Other police departments are looking at putting people on staff or on contract or something, so there are discussions as we get asked to do more, our people get asked to do more and more, especially around the MAT services and training and all, and with the yellow flag process and the expertise needed around those issues. I think it's a discussion that we should have moving forward at some point.
And we do have a federal grant that we were awarded. We have 2 mental health clinicians that will be working, started working, I believe, in January, but they're still going through their training, if you will. So we do have access to 2 mental health clinicians. And I believe we have another year left on that grant. What happens after that year, I don't know. So that's another positive note to mention.
One last thing I'll just mention, because I just came from this meeting today, is that the legislature apparently approved, they've allocated additional funding for the indigent legal services, which hopefully will translate down into helping the backlog of folks that might be in pretrial or in our correction systems and other correction systems. So hopefully we'll see some movement on that. So that's it.
3 items, if I may.
Yes, please.
One of them is it's a combination of airport and SO matter. We've been recently informed that the TSA, which has been reimbursing the county for a certain level of coverage by SO at the airport, they're no longer going to reimburse the county. Based on the numbers that we have in hand, once that occurs, the county, if I'm correct me, Kathy, if I misstate this, will be in the hole $40,000 or $50,000 by the end of the year. This is money that was budgeted, and so beginning next year, unless something changes, that whole thing will have to be funded by the county without any reimbursement, and I'm not sure what the total amount is. We are working with reaching out to the congressional delegation to see if we can get them to see if they can put some type of a stop to that action at this point. It's unlikely. We recognize the government pulled the plug on the TSA funding, and the TSA has said that they will continue it through the end of the month. After that, we're on our own. The mandate still exists that law enforcement must still be on site, so an unfunded mandate that the county will have to pick up the difference on that. The other thing has to do with the registrar's office. It was requested of me this afternoon that the registrar's office be closed to the public on the 19th of April so that staff could attend a statewide registrar's meeting. Part of that meeting is going to be, part of it is going to include a recognition of Elaine Hallett, who, as we all know, is retiring after 45 years. The deputy individual, the deputy registrar, would typically attend with her anyway. And then there's a relatively new employee with 75 days of service who probably shouldn't be left alone in the office just because she'd be on the phone reaching out to those other two. The decision was made that she could probably benefit more from attending that event than sitting in the office by herself. The recommendation to close the office comes with strong support from Judge Emery, and so they came to me. Apparently, the county administrator has to make that decision. It was an easy decision to say yes to, so I want you to be aware of that. And the third item has to do with the KRCC. I'm sorry that Chief Whitetalk has left early, but I learned today that while we're in this process of recruiting and interviewing and hiring individuals to fill the vacancies at dispatch, I learned today that there has been a system in place for some period of time that makes no sense to me. And once I learned about it, we're going to change that past practice so that applications are coming directly into the administrative office as opposed to being referred back to dispatch to the frontline supervisors. It's a practice apparently that hasn't proved to be successful with any consistency. So we hope that will help enhance the value of the application and interview process. And ideally, it will help us fill those positions even sooner than we anticipated. You will see in the Courier-Gazette and other newspapers next week a display ad for dispatch service people. Traditionally, we've been advertising for those types of positions in online settings, which make perfect sense, but we may not be reaching the core group of local potential employees. So we're going to try this for a couple of weeks and see how that goes. Kathy, do you have, Amber, anything to add on that at all?
No, I think it'll be it was a good decision and will help us move forward in a positive direction.
Well, yes.
I would just like to take this moment before we adjourn to give Gordon a very sincere thank you again for stepping in the position and all that you're doing. It is very, very much appreciated.
I can hardly wait till it's over.
No, you can, no, that's not part of it. Thank you so much.
Yes, I think following up on that, just, we'll be lucky if we find a full-time administrator who works as well as you do.
It's so much better with words, that was really nice.
Good work.
He has to work at it, though.
Yeah.
Anything else? Was there any other discussion items we're supposed to put on the agenda that we have?
We'll adjourn.
You do have signatures there applying.
Yeah, we'll sign all the paperwork. It's been moved, seconded. All those in favor of adjournment?
Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you. We are adjourned.